Russian doctors, mistrustful of official coronavirus data, have launched an unofficial list of their colleagues who have died from this virus. The news comes as growing number of hospitals across Russia have reported COVID-19 outbreaks among doctors and patients in recent weeks. Till Monday, at least 69 doctors in the two countries have died from coronavirus-related complications. Doctors in Russia say they are maintaining a list themselves because they don't trust ministries and official figures.
Памяти можно сказать, что очень много коллег гибнет, и потом, когда все закончится, мы хотя бы сможем примерно сопоставить, получить относительное число погибших медиков в России и не в России. И уже сейчас видно, что доля погибших медиков у нас, даже исходя из нашего, конечно, неполного списка, она довольно высока.
With this, doctors also wanted to highlight the plight of medical workers.
Я рассчитываю на то, что вся эта история, она, может быть, немножко привлечет внимание и общества, и власти к проблемам врачей, потому что многие может быть, не до конца понимают, что медицина вообще во многом связана с экстремальной работой, а в России медицина еще и связана с дополнительными экстремальными рисками, о которых говорилось очень много, но которые, в общем-то, всегда игнорировалось.
The list names 22 Moscow doctors and 12 Moscow regional medical professionals who have succumbed to the virus. The Russian capital and its surrounding region, with a combined population of more than 20 million, are the two Russian territories hit hardest by COVID-19, with 55,059 total cases till April 26th. Launched last week, the database called the Remembrance List already has more than 70 names of doctors, nurses and lab technicians, a tally which is expected to grow as the outbreak in Russia is edging towards a peak. Russia has more than 106,000 coronavirus cases with over 1,073 deaths, but critics allege that Russia is underreporting coronavirus fatalities and no official death toll for medical workers has been released. WION correspondent Julia Chapman is now joining us live from Moscow. Julia, this is a concern, isn't it? Doctors compiling a list of themselves, of their colleagues who have died from COVID-19. No official data is available yet in Russia.
That's right. There hasn't been an official list published yet of the number of medical workers that have succumbed to COVID-19. So the medical workers have started coming up with a list themselves because they want their colleagues to be remembered and commemorated for the hard work that they've put in fighting this virus. Of course, it's becoming a very widespread problem here in Russia. Russia now has the 8th biggest coronavirus outbreak in the world, and that number is rising rapidly. Today we saw the total number of cases exceed 100,000 and the number of deaths exceed 1,000. But many people are saying that that relatively low death toll is likely to be underreported, and there are probably many more that either are being hidden or simply aren't being widely publicized yet for whatever reason, be them in regional areas that have been difficult to get to, difficult to find out information about. And we understand now that the outbreak has spread to every single region of Russia, even the farthest reaches of Siberia, which did take a long time to get any reported cases. But as you mentioned, here in Moscow, this is the epicenter of Russia's outbreak. Moscow, the city, accounts for just about half of Russia's overall cases. Moscow region, the second worst affected area. And we've been talking to doctors in recent days who are very concerned that their hospitals simply haven't reacted quickly enough, and that is leading to a number of doctors and nurses and other medical workers being put at risk.
Absolutely, Julia. You know, if we just look at the deaths per million population, you know, why people are doubting Russia's figures. The deaths per million in Russia is being reported at 7. And if you look at countries around in the same region as Russia with similar outbreaks with more than 100,000 cases, Spain has a death per million count of 519. Russia is reporting 7. Italy has reported 458 deaths per million. Russia is reporting 7. So people are casting doubts over Russia's tally. And over the last 24 hours, it has been the sharpest spike, isn't it? What has been President Putin's response?
Well, President Putin says that there is obviously a serious problem, although as recently as 10 days ago he said the situation was under control. But we did hear from him earlier this week where he called on an extension to the Russian non-working period. He hasn't used the word lockdown, and indeed he's left it down to regional heads to decide on a case-by-case basis how strict to be about those measures. And here in Moscow there is a very strict lockdown, and in many other regions around the country, but not everywhere has there been a full lockdown. But President Putin urged people for the upcoming May holidays that begin tomorrow to stay at home. This is usually a time when Russians would go on holiday. They would gather in big numbers for celebrations. They would attend the big military parade here in Moscow on May 9th to celebrate Victory Day. That's no longer going to happen. All of that has been called off, and officials are really urging people to stay at home during this period so that the outbreak doesn't get worse.
Absolutely. Julia Chapman, thank you so much for joining us live from Moscow to get us the latest on Russia's battle against the coronavirus pandemic.